Hunter Biden's guilty plea in a Delaware federal courtroom is rejected by the judge, but the reason it's rejected is even more shocking. Hey, good afternoon, New World News. It is Wednesday, July 26, 2023, and today was a huge day in the whole Hunter Biden pleading guilty to tax charges and willful non-payment of his taxes. He was prepared to plead guilty in a Delaware courtroom, but all that fell apart, and he is possibly in big trouble. Let's take a look at why, because this is big news for the Biden family, especially Hunter, and it could trickle down or trickle up, whichever way you want to look at it, to the big guy, Joe Biden. Yeah, so today, Hunter was expected to plead guilty. Hunter Biden, the president of the United States, Joe Biden's son, to 2 misdemeanor tax counts of willful failure to pay his federal income tax. I believe he owed like $100,000 they didn't pay, as part of a plea deal to avoid jail time on a felony gun charge. So the felony gun charge stems from when he purchased a weapon that he filled out the application. When you purchase a weapon, you have to fill out the application, and you basically say you're not a criminal, you're a U.S. citizen, you have no felonies, you have the right to own a gun, you're not addicted to drugs or whatever, and you don't have any diagnosed mental problems. He filled out the drug part as, nope, not addicted to drugs, not on drugs, but we all know that's not true because we've seen the Hunter Biden laptop photos and they have been confirmed to be accurate, where he is partaking in a controlled substance. Right there on the picture. So he was lying on a federal gun application, and that is what he was trying to avoid, was jail time for lying on a federal gun application, which is crazy. However, part of his pretrial diversion agreement to avoid jail time on that gun charge is that a person who's an unlawful user or an addicted to a controlled substance who lies on the thing and is facing this is basically they get pretrial where they'll agree not to get jail time, and they have to take a program. They have to agree to do certain things. They agree to sanctions. They agree to all this stuff, and they get immunity, essentially. But what they were saying, what the prosecution was saying on Wednesday, is him pleading guilty to the 2 misdemeanors would not give him immunity on future charges, i.e. they are planning on filing more charges against him in other situations and other cases. They don't want him to be able to use this in order to say, hey, I pled guilty to this stuff and got a slap on the wrist. I'm immune to everything else. No. It doesn't work that way. And the judge agreed with them. The judge said, oh, hang on. We're not going to agree to this plea arrangement where you get to plead guilty, you get a slap on the wrist, you just get some pretrial diversion, and then later down the road when they decide to bring more charges against you, which it seems like they're going to do, that you will just get out of it and go, hey, my immunity. Not going to work that way. And the judge, who's appointed by Trump, said, we're not going to let that happen. And why should we let that happen? So at that point, Hunter's lawyers asked to be excused for 20 minutes. They re-evaluated their negotiations. They came back in and said, forget it. We're not pleading guilty. We'll plead not guilty. We'll move forward. So that's where we're at now. They left the courthouse after that. But there was one other staggering update from today. And basically, the judge that's overseeing this case is accusing Hunter Biden's legal team of misrepresenting their identity to the court's clerk. I'm going to read this to you, and this is absolutely insane, because if this was you and I doing this, or our lawyers or anybody, this would be catastrophic. You'd be in jail immediately. Listen to what they did during this court case or before the court case. The judge overseeing it has accused the member of the legal team representing the Biden administration and Hunter Biden of misrepresenting themselves to the clerk's office, an unusual development that's raised the possibility of sanctions. Biden's lawyers insist that the debacle is a misunderstanding in the court filings. They did not intentionally deceive anyone. At issue was an attempt by House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith to block Biden's plea agreement ahead of a Wednesday hearing. Smith filed documents on Tuesday urging the judge to consider recent testimony to Congress by IRS whistleblowers who alleged Biden received preferential treatment. Court filings indicate that Jessica Bengals, an administrative staff member at Latham & Watkins, which is the firm representing Biden, called a member of the court's clerk office just before noon Tuesday seeking the documents' removal from the public docket, saying they contained secret details including Social Security, taxpayer, and grand jury information. So Biden's lawyer calls the clerk and says, remove all this documentation, this evidence that's being presented to the judge. It has, secret information in it. U.S. District Judge Marilyn Noriega, who's overseeing the case, later suggested Bengals had pretended to call from the committee chairman's law office. So she pretended, which this should be easy because they should be recorded calls, if I'm not mistaken, into a federal courthouse. They're probably recorded. If not, you can track the phone calls back. We know who made the call and probably get their recordings. Somebody's got these phone calls recorded, I guarantee it. The judge says that she appeared to misrepresent herself and convinced the clerk's office to remove the materials from the docket. Responding to Noriega's order Tuesday night, a Biden attorney said there was no misrepresentation, it was just a misunderstanding. No, it sounds like one of your lawyers called the circuit court clerk and tried to get damning material, damning evidence from the chair committee's office that sent that in removed so that it didn't look bad against you during the plea agreement. It didn't work anyways because the plea agreement was thrown out. But that is staggering, absolutely nutty that they try to do this. Somebody's got this recorded call. Let's hear it. If they didn't do it, they didn't do it. Fine, they're good to go. On we move. But if they did, sanctions. Is it just sanctions? That sounds like it's a crime to me. I don't know. The matter under consideration appears to stem from an unfortunate, unintentional miscommunication between a staff member at our firm and employees of the court. Let's hear the phone call. It's that simple. Attached to the letter was a declaration from Bengals written under penalty of perjury, in which Bengals said she first called a clerk named Julia to ask for guidance as to the procedures for restricting access to the private information. Upon being asked by the clerk, Bengals said she provided the name of her law firm during the call and indicated the documents were filed by attorney Theodore Catilia's firm, which represents the Republican committee chairman. I don't think there was misunderstanding. I think she purposely tried to do it. 12 minutes later, Bengals said she received a call back from another court employee who said they would be removing the material from the docket. Bengals said she was completely confident she did not pretend to call from another firm, although the second employee did not ask who Bengals worked for. I believe there may have been some confusion when Julia passed the information on to the court employee, resulting in a mistaken understanding that I had called from Mr. Catilia's firm. In court filings, Catilia said he was deeply concerned by the development and attached an email from the clerk's office indicating Bengals had pretended to be calling from the other firm. He also pushed back on the need to seal the documents in question, saying they were already public before they were submitted to the court, so there was no reason to call to get them taken away anyways. The exhibits were filed had been public since June the 22nd, following an approved vote of the House Ways and Means Committee. Moreover, the documents that were made public were redacted by both counsel for the minority and the majority members of the Ways and Means Committee, Catilia wrote. The president's son has agreed to plead guilty to 2 counts of willful failure to pay taxes and avoid prosecution for possessing a gun while being an unlawful user of a controlled substance. We already know that got kicked out. So, did Hunter Biden's law team try to pull a fast one on the court, try to get some damning material pulled out of court? If they were trying to do that, why were they so worried about it? They say there's been nothing wrong, so then they wouldn't be worried about damning material, right? I'll leave it up to you guys in the comment section below. As always, that belongs to you. My opinion here, I think maybe there was some misunderstanding, but I think there was probably some shenanigans going on. I think they were trying to pull a fast one, at least a little bit, maybe not to that extent, because they can't be stupid and not know that the calls are recorded. They have to be recorded. And if not, then they're just silly and they think they can get away with anything, but I wouldn't put anything past any of them. So with that, I'll leave you guys to the comments. If you could, please leave me a comment, drop me a word down there, and hit that like button. Guys, it really helps the algorithm. I appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that I can test out this YouTube algorithm, and that would mean a lot to me as well. Until the next video, guys, thanks for watching New World News. I'll see you next time.